This is Authentically Spoken.
Authentically spoken truth.
Raw and open-hearted.
Shared to inspire deeper emotional intelligence.
For the people. We're opening the door.
Are you ready to walk through?
Your truth awaits you. Hi, welcome to episode 7 of Authentically Spoken. Today we're going to talk about death and the afterlife. So, what happens to us when we leave this human form? And if there is something that happens, are we able to tap into that?
This is kind of like a fun topic for me, just because I deal with it a lot. So, how about you, Raina?
I've been recently exploring this area.
Okay.
Just certain things happening within my spiritual practices that I would just surrender myself to, and then find myself doing very specific actions that I just wasn't used to. And after exploring more, just realized that I was connecting to other energies, spirits, specifically people that have passed on. And then when I've reached out to people that were on the other side of that, the people that were living, they were actually going through like a really intense grieving period. And it was just a divine experience. Are we going into that already now?
Yes.
That's where it's going.
Wow. Okay. Well, not too long ago. It's probably a month ago. It was not this past new moon, but the new moon before. I was doing my new moon ritual, and the next thing I know, I'm writing this letter, and it was to one of my really good friends, and I realized I was channeling her brother that had passed away about 5-6 years ago. And once I tuned in and became conscious of what was happening, a part of me got fearful. And I started to back up because I started to feel his energy, and it's a really intense energy, which I still felt this loving presence. But since I haven't really explored that realm very much, I kind of guarded myself, and I could feel some fear coming up. And then I just surrendered myself again, asking for the guides of the highest truth and compassion to come in and surround me and kind of wrap the letter up. I was hesitant to reach out to her because I was not trusting myself fully. And I waited about 24 hours, texted her and said, "Hey, I have a letter for you." And her immediate response was, "I've been feeling my brother nonstop for 2 days." And I was like, "It's a letter from your brother."
Yeah.
And I'm covered with goosebumps.
Chills.
And I just started bawling. And because it was the lack of trust in myself.
Yes.
And that I wasn't listening to myself and doing what I knew to be true, but there was still just this doubt.
And once she validated that she's been feeling her brother, and it validated for you that you were on the right track.
Yeah.
You know? So I really feel like everybody has this gift. You know, everybody can tap into those or get messages from spirit people who's passed over. The good and the bad, I feel like. I so much hasn't had so much bad with my experience, but with only pretty much from the good, because I've always put that out there. I just want information from the highest good to come through when I do my readings or any kind of sessions that I do. It's shamanic or Reiki sessions. It's only from the highest good. So I really feel like you should tap into it more, Raina, because it will. But you have to be willing to take it in and process it and
break down those walls.
Yeah.
And have no attachment. I
Yeah.
felt like I had an attachment to what he was going to say. And that's one reason why I disconnected, because I was scared to filter all of it because of the way he did die. They had an amazing relationship. But I know there was a lot of pain there. So I was attached to experiencing something very specific.
Well, being clear, emotional. That's what it's called, clear.
Yeah.
You're feeling the emotions of that person that's reaching to you.
Yeah.
So that's called clear emotional. I'm a clear mental. I'm a clear emotional. I'm a clear audio, so I can hear things as well. I'll
have
hear
that too,
things.
yeah.
Ah.
I can hear doors slam. Boom. When doors slam, that means something is coming.
So that's like clairvoyance. You've broken down.
Yeah, well, there's a couple. There's a lot more.
Can you break them all down? Do you mind if you can remember?
There was clair visual. I mean, it's any kind of clair cognitive.
So anything you can see. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Okay.
Yeah. So you see, clair audio. You're hearing. Sometimes people will hear a voice or something. Clair mental is pictures. I see pictures. It's like a movie playing in my mind.
So what's the difference between mental and visual?
A visual is bit like you'll see a spirit walk right in front
Oh,
of
like
you.
visually see. Okay, I was tying it into visually, like seeing the
Yeah.
mental visions.
Yeah, that's the mental. So most spirit, in the spirit connective, whatever, if they want to talk to you, it's usually a telepathic way of speaking when I journey or I'm having a conversation with my higher powers and my spirit guides. It's never them talking like this. I can never see their mouths moving. It's they're looking at me, and it's all in the mind. So it's very telepathic.
I once had someone tell me that spirits speak in like little, it sounds like a hummingbird almost, like a little buzz. Like if it were to the human ear, that's what it would sound like.
Yeah.
I don't ever hear anything. It's like an automatic writing. Like I surrender, and I don't know it's coming up. I don't hear anything.
And everybody
Yeah.
has different gifts and different times that their gifts are given.
Is there a knowing? Because
Yes.
I have
Yes.
a deep knowing.
Of
like
course.
it's like
That's it. That's like when you have that deep knowing, that is like the shotgun.
or is there like a clairvoyance thing that is attached to knowing? Like you know how there's like audio, there's the visual, mental.
Once you have that knowing, that means that you don't have any self-doubt. So once you lose that self-doubt of what you're knowing, like you don't need validation anymore.
Well, I mean, like there's just things I know
Yeah.
in connection with people or in experiences.
You ever walk by somebody in the store and you're like, you look at them and you just get a download of their life.
Oh yeah, I get that all the time. Even just sitting here with people having conversations, I could see and I receive
Yeah.
stuff all the time. Like in meditation, like she was having a conversation with
Mariah was having a conversation.
What's his name? A friend of ours.
Uh-huh.
And he was going through a very specific life experience, and in meditation, I was just there and I just received at the deepest core what was driving certain things.
Yeah.
And it was like I wasn't seeking, I didn't want it, it was just downloaded into me. And remember we had that conversation in the kitchen?
Yeah.
And we explored that. So just that happens all the time. I just get downloads from people.
So,
Yeah, and that's great. And we should accept that.
Yeah.
It reminds us that we're all in tune and connected, right?
Yeah.
So at a young age, I had an outer body experience. Okay, so I was about maybe 3 or 4, and this is at my dad's house in Claremont, California. And I floated, and I remember this, I can remember this like it was yesterday for my whole life. I floated down off my bunk bed. I first looked at my hand, and my hand was blue. It was just glowing blue. My whole body was glowing blue. So I floated off the top bunk, and in our bedroom it was two sets of bunk beds. My brothers and my sisters and my dad's wife's kids were there too. Like we all shared a room. We had bunk beds. So I floated down, and I went into the foyer, the room before you walked in the living room from the front door. And my dad had a rocking chair, a wood rocking chair, a pretty big one. And there was a woman sitting in that rocking chair, and she was dressed very like old style, Victorian style. And then there was 3 men behind her, and she greeted me and told me to come, but never, no moving the lips, just knowing to come to her, just a telepathic speaking. And I sat with her, and she said, "Do you remember us?"
Wow.
So those, and I was like, no. I guess, like, I felt very comfortable.
Yeah.
The men did not speak. They were just standing there. So
Holding the safe space.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful.
Very strong men standing there. So, and I was just with her. And I have remembered that my whole entire life. And I told my parents, but at the time, they just, it's just a dream, or, And then there was no one to guide me further into those gifts, or knowing that I was connecting with spirit. And but they are my soul tribe. So we have like a soul.
The soul tribe.
Yeah.
Nice.
You have soul tribe that is your spirit guides, your people who have passed even.
Yeah.
So, I do believe in the afterlife. I believe we reincarnate if you want, or you move on to, being in heaven, quote unquote, or wherever your place is to be. I don't feel like there's a hell. I never, ever feel like there's a hell. I never felt there is a hell for some reason. I don't believe in it.
Yeah,
So,
well, you also we believe in choosing love over fear, and if everything is love, then there is no hell, right? There'd only be heaven.
Yeah, but I don't feel like people who do wrong here go to hell.
Well, when you do wrong here, or you choose differently here, then you're in your own personal hell.
Yeah.
So hell is while we're in this human form, and when we move on, we're becoming more in tune. We're no longer stuck in these human bodies, so we're automatically in heaven.
So learning the lessons here, this is getting deep.
I love it.
Learning the lessons.
Keep digging.
Here, we're going through. We suffer as humans in this human form. We are here. We are learning. We suffer. We love. We are having all these lessons going through in everyday life. This journey, and the hell we recreate.
Absolutely.
I think that religion, or the formation of man's perception of scripture or the divine, whatever we want to call it, they have a misinterpretation of what heaven and hell really is, which is really a mental experience to me. Whether, and like you're saying, Jesus in the Bible, and we're not talking about religion, we're just going to talk about his actual words. Heaven is here and now in your midst. So it's, are we creating heaven, or are we creating hell for ourselves? And that disconnection from the divine, the disconnection from the universe, or aligned with our higher self, that is hell, because we're disconnecting also from self.
Yeah.
And then we don't feel that unconditional connection of love.
Well, and you spoke about knowing something, like you knew the truth in your body that your friend's brother was speaking to you, but your self-doubt came in, and hell comes from you second-guessing what you know. Yeah. So you feel something, you know it within you, and then because of other perceptions or judgment or ego or fear, you push it away, and then you're just on this line back and forth, and that's what sucks. That's when you're miserable.
You know, it just popped up for me when you're sharing that. It wasn't that I doubted myself more than I worried about what she would think. Or if she would believe me.
Yeah.
That's really what it was.
Absolutely.
Because I've done the same thing with my boyfriend's mother that passed away 15, 20 years ago. I didn't know I was doing it. I was in meditation, all of a sudden started writing, and she was writing to me. And there was very specific things that she wanted me to share with him, not as a message from her, but like experiences and wisdom and certain things. And she would confirm her presence by, one thing was, she was like, she mentioned something about him as a baby and wearing blue pajamas. And when we were in Belize, like a few weeks later, he brought me a framed picture of him as a baby in blue pajamas. And it was just, look.
Wow.
She's trying to help you trust yourself and giving, giving information and validating. And I had to deal with that for a long time. I would know things. I would know serious things. Like, I know when I would know if that person was going to die or not. Like, I would have a moment, like a download, and I wouldn't be there, and I would lock eyes with this person, and it'd be like slow moving, and I'm like, well, that was weird. And then my heart hurt. And then a week later, that person was gone.
Wow.
And I was like, gosh, how do I know that this is what I'm feeling? Is this person going to pass? I didn't get that, but it happens several times.
That happened with me before too. I didn't get the connection. I wasn't with them, but my ex and I were together, and we started talking about one of his really good friends. We weren't talking about him. We were just hanging out in the living room, and all of a sudden, I said to him, I was like, you need to reach out to so-and-so. I was like, do it today or tomorrow. Yeah. He died 3 days later.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, and I believe those intuitions are opportunity to change what's going to happen. Like
Yeah.
or at least our perception of it. But I guess once our perception changes from fear to love, then everything around it can change.
Yeah, I can feel it.
So what do you think makes people so resistant towards, so we all have this gift, right? We're all able to connect with this source that is all of us, right? And it is alive or death or reincarnated. Why are we so scared to connect with it, and what pushes us away from that? And why don't we want to share it with each other?
Well, I feel like it's the teachings of what we grew up with and all those negative beliefs that, you know, oh no, you can't talk to spirit. You need to go through the church to talk to God.
And they stoned witches. They killed them.
Yeah.
Because they literally, and I think if we even go before that time, women were a source of infinite wisdom, right? Like think of Egyptian queens, you know, like Cleopatra. Like they were a source of this infinite connection and wisdom. Yet I think at some point, which I'm doing research on this now and still trying to learn about it, men were threatened by that. So then at some point they came in and wanted that power.
Stop letting women teach in the church, which then it turned into mediumship. Did you know that in the Victorian ages, women went into, there was big, you know, those madams and with the crystal ball. Those are the point that started happening in the Victoria times, to get the women into teaching, into speaking out, and women were big with mediumships in the Victorian ages. So, and that was their platform to speak of knowledge, and I feel like we all, like, you know, they started to get downloads.
Yeah.
So look into that now about
definitely.
mediumship, the history of mediumship, and you'll see how it's like, it's so.
And
it's
then
so great.
it even goes in, like, we're so socially conditioned, like at the deepest rooted level, like women giving up themselves, giving up their dreams and what they want for their lives in order to appease their husbands. Like we're supposed to coalesce and like surrender to them. And yes, we should love our family and we should show up and co-create these lives, but it would, like, I'd say women are more like, they're stepping out more and they're learning who they are, and they're realizing that not everybody's needs need to be put before our own. You know, it's like we can't fill up anybody else's cup if our cup is empty, but we've been doing that for so long because it's like that's what women do. We've been conditioned to believe that's what we're supposed to do.
Yeah.
You know, it's like we're the nurturers, we're these incredible, and we are very incredible feminine nurturing beings, but not at the risk of our own health. And that's when we stopped listening to our intuition. That's when we disconnected from it, because men were the source of wisdom. Men were the control.
Those men.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Well,
men.
I think. Oh my goodness.
Love you.
Well, I think it does go both ways, though. I think that men also give too much of themselves to some women, and they are in that same space. But regardless, it was taught that it's okay to give up your own personal power and for fear of what someone else might think or making someone unhappy, and then, like, I don't know, just not speaking your truths, right? And not getting in tune like we should be, not connecting with each other or with anything else out there. But we're all put in each other's lives to teach, and so if my friend if Jessica's giving me a message from somebody that needs to tell me something, I should be open to receive that. But we're not always open.
We're not.
No. So do you feel like once you surrender to this knowing within you, so when you're younger, you kind of maybe had doubts and didn't think that this was true, but once you were like, okay, this is a gift I have and I want to feed this, I want to like get more into it, do you feel like you knew more confidently when you could speak to someone and if they were ready to hear the message or not?
Yes. And then I would always, it's because you have to let spirit know, or your divine messages come through whenever they want to come through. It's fine. Sometimes the messages need to be told, but like I have a source. I let Reiki come in, or I ask for my guides to come in and step through, and that is my doors open time. Okay, I shut that door so I can live a normal life and do my normal day things. Because if I don't keep it shut, it's just constant downloads of things all day long. So I say my prayers in the morning when I'm in my shower with my water, because water is a very spiritual conduit, and I just ask for guidance today, and I will receive any messages that need to be needed, but please, keep it at a bare minimum, because
Yeah, well,
you have to have a barrier there.
Yeah, it's almost a dangerous spot to be,
Yeah.
because it's going to trigger people's wounds, and us in our physical form, that can hurt.
So I received a message a few days ago from somebody, a friend of mine that's in a different country right now. And he said, you asked me a question the first time I met you. And he said, he said, I can't remember his exact words, but he was offended by the question I asked him, thinking that I was assuming that he lived a life from emptiness and was trying to fill some void. And then he said, now that I've been able to sit with it, it's been over a year. He's like, I've been able to find like this real, like deep realization of myself, and realizing I have been living from a place of emptiness.
Yeah.
And I feel like your question triggered that for me.
Uh-huh.
So I get those types of, like, I know, I'm like, dang, I don't know if they're ready for this question, but I say it anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he may have not gotten the question then, but a year later, I'm like, wow, what a beautiful self-realization, and seeing how he can completely transform his life but he rejected it. Like you're saying, should we say it or ask the question or say the message, wondering like if they're ready to receive it or not. But I think we should always plant the seeds no matter what, if we're told to do it.
And it's important because what if they are ready? Or what if somebody nearby hears it and they're ready to hear the message?
Yeah.
So I had a situation. I was at Sand Jam the first year we had Sand Jam, the concert. So some kid, he's like, "Hey, can you take a picture of me and my friends?" And he gave me his phone, and I got a download of his life. And I was like, "Okay."
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And I took the picture, and I handed him the phone, and I said, "Look, I know your situation, and you need to prepare yourself, get your finances underway. Don't rely on this person to take care of you fully, because this person is going to dump you, and you're going to be left stranded with nothing. So please protect yourself." Like I saw everything happening, boom, 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 right? He's like, "Oh my God, thank you so much. Oh my gosh." She's like, "Oh my gosh, thank you." Okay. Fast forward 3 months later, I was at the Aaron Lewis concert at La Villa. He came up to me and grabbed, he's like, "You're that lady who told me this and this. Oh my gosh." He's like, "You were so right on." He's like, "Oh my God, thank you so much for telling me that." He's like, "I did get stranded and everything. I lost everything, didn't have nowhere to go."
Wow.
And it happened to him. So, and I was very tipsy.
Well,
I had like a lot of beers, but it was like a download.
Yeah.
I had to give it to him.
Well,
I don't remember like exactly what I said, but it was right on. It was so crazy.
yeah. Well, sometimes those substances will help us like put down our other
bury the
intentions, our
walls.
judgments,
Yeah.
and let things out,
Yeah.
which is a good thing.
Yeah. So the question too about suppressing the gifts. So I did that like throughout my whole childhood, and I felt like since I didn't accept it from the highest good, I was having negative things come through. Like it was more lower energies coming in, and
Interesting.
it was very odd. Yeah. And then I was very heavy. I tried to suppress myself with alcohol and drugs and trying to numb it.
Yeah.
And
That's interesting.
and then it went into me, falling into the wrong path. Okay. And I did get shot when I was 15, and then I had the spirit come talk to me at the hospital.
So if your ego is what keeps you away from the divine, then you suppressing those things would bring more things that would encourage that, oh, I shouldn't be thinking this, or this is a bad thing, or this is going to be negative for my life. So that's what you would be experiencing.
Yeah.
So it makes sense that it would take all those experiences and for you to accept what your gift was before you'd start having the positive messages come through.
Yeah. Acceptance.
Absolutely. And we have to accept ourselves and our gift, and that we are all energy. Science tells us that. Why are we so against believing that we are all in tune with each other? We're all working off each other's vibrations, and that's here to help us flow through our lives.
And then the people, there's, I didn't have anybody to talk to, but there are people who have elders and family members who understand these gifts and help them and guide them at a young age. And I feel like it's so important for us to listen to our children if they're saying, oh my gosh, Mom, there was somebody standing by my bed and last night. Oh, it's just the boogeyman. Or it's not the boogeyman. Like, don't say things like that.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as a boogeyman.
For sure.
I mean, maybe. No, I'm just kidding.
If you believe that there is, then there might be.
Yeah.
But it's up to us to choose our beliefs, and that creates our reality.
Yeah, the fear.
Yeah.
There's so many parents out there who are, oh my God, my child is having nightmares, night terrors out there, and they're seeing, I don't know what to do. I'm like, pray with your baby.
Yeah.
Pray with your child.
And them feeding into that and not giving love to that is creating more of it. Yeah. They're allowing that experience to be in their reality.
And determine the fear that is living within the child that's creating the dreams, because the dreams are just a subconscious representation that show up in their messages,
So I get messages in my dreams. Spirit comes to me in my dreams. Or people who are around me close by. And I've had many, many situations where I have a dream about somebody, and then I'll text them the next day, and I'll be like, is everything okay?
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, oh my gosh, this is what's happening, da da da, and I reach out to them. I always, if something is telling me to reach out to you, I'm gonna do it. I mean, not just from a person from Instagram, but
yeah. Well, thank you for sharing whatever message has been passed through you. I receive all the messages.
I know you did. Sorry.
That's beautiful.
But no, it's very important for us to receive everything, and pass it.
Yeah. So let's talk about dreams then.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So your dreams are a great avenue for something to come up for you that you need to hear. So do you think that's not only for yourself, but also for maybe somebody else? Or do you think people take their dreams too literally and then might act upon them and cause more trouble in their lives?
I mean, some people don't even dream.
That's
There's
true.
Some people who don't. Or they don't even remember their dreams. I've been a very vivid dreamer my whole life. Vivid.
Yeah.
I can remember every detail. It's like I'm somewhere else. Like I'm astro projecting somewhere else.
I've had some like that, and then some I don't remember. Like, I think last night I remember I had such vivid dreams. I knew I was dreaming, but I don't remember any of that one.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think I had like 3 or 4 different ones. But sometimes I've written them out to where they're extremely detailed, from like even the texture on the walls and smells and scents, and I believe they all show up as symbols. If something is very detailed and we can remember it in our dream, it's showing up as a symbol for something in our life, and it's up to us to really detangle that web and find out what that message is.
So do you ever have any reoccurring dreams, like reoccurring emotional dreams?
Do you?
Yeah. Mine is conditional love. Or people who I always have dreams where no one has a heart.
Wow.
Like nobody cares. Nobody has a heart.
So what happens?
That's my nightmare dream. Nobody has a heart. Nobody cares for how I feel and my well-being.
So let me clear that up for you right now. We all care so much about your heart and your well-being, and anyone who isn't lost in their own stories and their own ego will see you for who you are, and the powerful, magical, incredible woman and the gifts that you give all of us. Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
No, absolutely.
But that is like a nightmare of mine since since way back.
Yeah. So, this is interesting.
Do you remember the first time you had that dream?
Probably when I was about 12.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was there something that happened right before that? anything you can remember, like a...
Oh, God. I don't know. I mean, nothing specific. I mean, I was just...
A year before?
Mm-mm.
Anything like between 10, 11, 12?
I mean, maybe that's my period time.
Did you feel like your period came and it made you unlovable?
Maybe.
Or you like it lowered your confidence and it made you feel unlovable?
Maybe. Huh. Yeah, think about that, Mariah.
Yeah. Maybe in your next meditation, ask what the heart symbolizes.
Yeah.
And if it is love, it could be something else. It
Yeah.
could be just a representation of something else, something you may have defined as that as a child.
Yeah.
And then if everybody's lacking it, what does it mean that they don't have it?
Yeah.
You know, ask yourself some questions like that
Yeah.
to explore. I have a book I can actually give you that helps you. with
What's
that.
it called?
Starlight something. I forgot. I just happened to like pull out Carl Jung, the Red Book,
Uh-huh.
and underneath it was that book, and I saw Starlight something. I can run and get it in a minute, but that's probably why I saw it to
Yeah.
bring it up today, because I would have.
See the message.
Yeah, I would have never known. And I just
Cool.
remember skimming that one whenever I had a dream a while back, and I was trying
Cool.
to detangle the web.
Yeah. Oh, it's such a web.
So our purpose here is to become more in tune and more connected with each other, right?
Yeah.
Because if we can have a deeper understanding of ourselves, then we are all connected on a deeper level and we are all more connected to the divine. So everything that happens to us, our dreams and our conversations and our downloads for each other and our experiences is to help us get more in line and in tune with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But and then the dreams. Did you ever have dreams, since you do lots of flying activity? Did you ever dream of yourself flying?
Oh yeah, I have since I was a little girl.
Yeah. I used to dream about myself flying or falling from the sky, but not like in fear. Like I felt like I was almost like a superhero coming down, like really super fast, and I would just land on the ground, but no pain, and then just stand up.
Awesome.
Yeah. All the time.
I think that flying is a symbol of freedom.
Freedom.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And we can unlock that freedom once we get out of our personal hells
Right.
and trust ourselves and our knowing. Yesterday, you had a conversation with one of our dear friends, and you were trying to show him the love that's in every action. Even if the things that don't look like love, if everything is energy and everything is light and everything is love, then there is no duality. The darkness does not exist. Love is all that is.
Yeah.
And I was only in here for a part of it because I didn't feel like digging deep into things. I was in my own world. But last night, he came to me early this morning in tears. And he reached out to me and was basically, he'd been having nightmares all night, that he's someone I care about very deeply, and he like loves me, and the people that we love is who brings up our wounds and the things we need to heal. And he had, in the dream, he had hurt me. Like it was, so apparently he had dreamed that I did something that hurt him, and then woke up from the dream. And then but it wasn't actually awake. And I heard him again, and I was taunting him. And then he woke up again, but wasn't actually awake. And went back into it, and I heard him again, and he hurt me back very badly. And so that time he woke up, and he was very, very upset. And so his past, he's had a very, very traumatic childhood. His father was very abusive, and there's a lot of that has been repressed. And this afternoon we had another conversation about it, and he started crying again, and I was able to bring up the point that you made last night, that if he can see those actions that his father did towards him in love and find that love and understanding, then and is able to forgive him, then it's no longer hurting him, and it'll heal his subconscious so that he doesn't have to fear it coming up again in the future, because that's in his mind whether he likes it or not. So I wanted to thank you for digging into that. Even though he didn't hear you then, it allowed him to process something that came up in his dreams that he needed to heal, and then I was able to help him see the other part of it this afternoon, and it really hit him hard, and it's beautiful.
I knew there was something he was holding on to, that he clarifying that somebody's actions were bad. And that's why I was so open to share what happened to me as a child, in order to help him see that I just knew he was holding on to justify, you know, because, you know, no matter, I know there's terrible things that happen in the world, terrible things have happened to me, you, like every single person, we've all gone through these traumatic events. And like you just said a little while ago, everything is energy. And our job is to raise our energetic field to the highest vibration to love. And we can't do that when we're holding on to old trauma patterns that hold us into low frequency energies. And my whole journey was really, I went through this meditative process, and to where I was 3 years old or 3 or 4 years old, in a room with somebody that molested me. And through the process, like I literally was that little girl, he was there, and I could see how tense my body was, and I was holding on to all this pain. And my body, like when I was going through the process and somebody was guiding me, my entire body was still tight in the like here and now. So mentally I was seeing it, and then physically I was feeling it. And I focused on really releasing and allowing my body to soften. So the pain of the man, of whatever was done to him in his past, was able to flow through me. So I became a vessel of love for him. So I released his pain instead of holding on to it in my body. So, and then through that whole process, he then turned into Jesus and picked me up, and it just turned into this huge unconditional love.
Wow.
It was the most beautiful experience I've ever had, to see that hurt people. And when we hold on to that duality of light and dark and black and white and good and evil, red and blue, we're creating separation. We can never have complete wholeness or oneness with duality, because duality separates the divine, when the divine is all of it. And the only thing we're really here to do, like you said, you know, is to remove those blocks of judgment and step into forgiveness and heal that. And it's only our own perceptions. And I could see, I could feel his perceptions of something in the past. I didn't know what it was. And he would see what I was saying for a moment, but then he would revert back to keeping that story.
So and the people that love us, people that we love, they trigger all of those things. They're the only ones that can hit the soft spots, because we break down our walls enough. Love breaks down walls, that we let them in. And then some people don't know how to deal with that. So instead of like whoa, that triggered me, why? They go into what they learned and what they saw growing up, and then they'll act the same way. And that's why these awful patterns are repeated and repeated. So
seeing that one thing I said to him, and you had to stand up for me because he wasn't hearing what I said, was my job and my responsibility was to recognize his expression of love through the traumatic response, or his trauma that he was inflicting on me, to see that it wasn't evil. It was his only way of expressing love in the moment, even though it's not something we should be doing to other people.
It's still love. They just don't know that love is what caused the whole reaction. They just haven't learned ever how to express that and how to turn it into something good.
And let me clarify that people should be held responsible for their actions and reap what they sow. And I'm not saying that this is for us to put a blinder on anything. This is really to heal the deep energetic traumas held within us, so we can transmute those realities and change the freaking world. Because we, in the present moment, we can go and change the past based on these releases, and then it creates and transforms a new future for us.
Until you change your perception, you're holding energy in them of what they did in that vibration, and then that's just putting more to them acting that way. And they can't change until you heal your perception of what they did.
So being triggered, does it ever go away?
I think once it does, there's perfection.
I think
we're all one.
I think once you're conscious of it, like once you start like doing the work and like looking within and trying to find what your triggers are, then you start to heal them, right? Because you're, instead of reacting to someone and letting it hurt you more, you allow them to hold the space that you need to feel that and let it out, and then give it the love that it needs. And I think that you'll continue to get triggered, but as the more it happens, the more understanding you become of it, and eventually I think it's healed and it won't affect you anymore.
We respond differently. It feels differently. Like
Yeah.
I've celebrated, like I will still have the negative experience internally, but I react different and I'm like, yes! I was like, you see that? Like really, like we need to learn how to celebrate those so we can put a new emotional experience with the past.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like a state changes, you know? Wow. Yeah.
So I've been doing EMDR. I know this is getting off topic of what we're talking about, but the EMDR.
That's all in the topic.
That has really helped me with my past triggers and my memory, my anxiety and PTSD tied to those memories.
Yeah.
So now I can think about that. I think about the memory and there's no physical feeling.
Awesome.
No tightness in the chest, like what like from what that person did to me.
Yeah.
There's no feeling of it. There's no anxiety of it. You know.
Yeah. Once you're that strong in your connection and in yourself, like you know your worth, you have that knowing within you, then other people can affect you. No matter what their story or what their experience is, you're strong.
Do.
You know truth. You know truth inside yourself, and you know that's just their own thing playing out, and it cannot hurt you.
Yeah.
Still a work in progress for me. Go ahead.
For some reason, it brought up the conversation we had with that same person a while back, or maybe a few weeks ago. And we were talking about, and then you bringing up EMDR, that because we're so quick to intellectualize experiences that we are like, well, this, and this, we create the story, but it doesn't transform or transmute or release the energy. So it's like, we can intellectualize all day, but until we heal spirit and until we heal emotionally and feel the past, like you going through those moments with the EMDR to where you're processing the trauma. And I think what I was doing was a form of EMDR, but
it's almost like it's like a soul retrieval.
Yeah.
That's what it was. It was almost sounds like what you were doing. You were going back to your child self and going back what you do in like kind of EMDR, where you start with that memory, that first memory. But at that memory, I was a child, and so yours was too. We have such similar stories.
Yeah.
but you know, as you do like a soul retrieval and stuff, that you go back to wherever the trauma happened, whatever age you are at, and the trauma happened. That's where you go and you pull, you know, get back to that, pull that piece of your soul back.
Yeah.
Because we lose a bit of our soul. That's what I've read in many different places, that we lose part of our soul with the trauma.
Yeah, definitely.
So
that, thank you. At like not being able, I don't know, tying those together, the soul retrieval, and I want to pick your brain on that more because I was listening to a book that brought it up too. So I would love to explore that with you. And when I was talking about the intellectualizing things, and then the spirit and emotional, I guess this is really an invitation for everybody, that it's okay to go back and it's okay to feel. And when you step into this new journey and creating this space for yourself, anger is going to come up, and anger is okay, you know, like, because it took me processing a lot of anger before I was able to transmute it to love. So it's okay to be angry. It's okay to, you know, get your not only self-worth back, but the, what's the word I'm looking for? Like the protecting yourself, you know, like, because we feel kind of, especially if you've gone through any kind of like molestation or rape or anything like that, like you feel so violated. Yeah. So
you feel not secure.
Yeah.
You know, you don't feel that safety
anymore.
You feel like anybody can come and just, it's like you're almost on high alert.
Yeah.
Constant.
Definitely.
And that's another thing about PTSD, is constantly being on high alert, looking around, scanning. I was very high on that.
Yeah.
I've come a lot down with that high alertness. Like, I walk into a grocery store, I'm looking at, okay, that person's there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, the door's over there. I would scan and see which is the best way to get out if I need to get out. Yeah.
Wow.
Which I didn't even know I was doing that
for
a long time. So
Wow.
there's a lot of things. So go ahead, Marina.
I was thinking about the dreams you're sharing in your past, and there's a dream that just came up in my mind about when I was a child, and I would be walking, and all of a sudden this man or somebody would be in front of me. I didn't know who it was, but now it's making sense. But I would try and punch him with like everything I had, but every time I went to hit him, it was soft. And my weak,
You're weak. Yeah,
I was
no
so
power.
weak, no power,
Yeah.
but I had nothing but anger inside of me, and I didn't know how to get it out. And
I've had a dream like that before. You can't
Yeah.
do anything.
yeah,
It's like you lost your power.
and that, I think that dream was rooted from those experiences as a child, because once I processed it, like I don't have any of those dreams anymore. So yeah, and that ties together like how dreams symbolize very specific things. Like I lost my power in those moments, but then regaining it, you know, it's a beautiful thing just to see the whole journey.
Yeah.
Our dreams are important, and I always tell people to write down their dreams constantly. You know, if you're a vivid dreamer or a lucid dreamer, you know, being a lucid dreamer means that you can control your dreams.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and if you want to try to do that, you drink a whole bunch of water before you go to bed, and then you'll wake up. Your bladder will alert you to wake up, and if you have a dream, then write it down, and you'll start to train. You train yourself to remember your dreams.
You know, and if a child comes to you and has something they want to share about their dreams, like you were saying earlier, like it's really important to hold space for them and listen to what's coming up for them and help give love to that.
Yeah.
So that they feel like the Reina in the dream knows that there's a safe space for her to release that anger, and it's
And
okay
talk
for her to
about the
feel
dreams,
that.
yeah.
And even if you can't share, you don't have the courage to share the exact situation, like you can let it out in another way, and that's still healing.
Journal or whatever.
I want to expand that, because I think that's so important what you just said, that not only holding safe space for children when they have bad dreams, but when they come to share anything with you.
Yeah.
Anything. That was the hardest thing for me to realize. Like I was conditioning my daughter to think that what she felt or what she was going through was invalid, because I was trying to point to a reality that was perfect. Like, why are you feeling that way? Why are you sad? Why are you angry? Because look, there's so much for you to be happy for. Here's some food. Here's some toys. You're good.
Yeah.
But that safe space is so important.
It is.
You know, like you're sad. I understand I understand you could be sad. Tell me why you're sad. You know, and let them explore that.
Yeah, we have to teach them how to deal with their emotions. If they're taught just to push it away and put something else in front of them, then that's what they'll do. And what if it's something deep? What if it's something that's hard to share?
Yeah.
You know, what if something that takes a lot of courage and a lot of trust to let somebody else hear it?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I with my kids, with divorce and everything too, like I always want them to talk to me, and it's hard because they don't know how to articulate it or verbally say I'm mad because you guys are getting a divorce. Like they don't understand that.
We are all learning from everything around us all the time.
Yeah.
So you just showing up the way you do and being able to speak why you're feeling what you're feeling and seeing that you work through your trials and tribulations is going to help them do that.
Yeah.
You know? And if you trust that there will be a safe space where they can share that stuff, even if not with you, it will be there.
Yeah.
Yeah. We should do a whole podcast on that.
Yeah. Totally.
And not just for children, but for people in general, because I think children, yes, we're conditioning them, but every single person needs a safe space to land. So, yeah.
Yeah. So our topic was the afterlife. So
Let's get back on track.
So it went into this whole concept of like whether it's okay to trust what you're feeling and that you have truth in your body, or like maybe that you don't know. So I don't think any of us really know what happens after we die, but the truth that we do know in our body is that we can connect with this divine intelligence at any time, and
unconditional love
and spirit, and this hell and everything else is only the things that draw us away from that. So it's there might not be an afterlife, maybe there's only now, but it's all, we're all one and we're all connected, and when we get out of our stories and we look inside, we're able to go back to that space. So how can we tune in with somebody who's deeply in tune? So if you lost a loved one, it's almost like an opportunity to, for a moment, let go of denying that we're all connected and think for a second, maybe there's a way that I can still speak to them. Like they are still here. And then in that moment, we're no longer in denial that we're all one. We're in denial that, oh, my story is all that matters and this is what separates me and this is what I'm supposed to do. All those beliefs they're not there anymore.
Yeah, it may not be so. Some people may be in denial, and maybe underneath all of it is a denial, but maybe it's just the lack of belief of realizing they're able to connect because of what we're taught growing up and the limitations of the physical realm and what we really are. So I feel like, yeah, I mean, I've been in denial because I've tapped into the deep power and then I disconnect and then I tap in. But some people just don't even know. So I know that you've had an experience recently of helping somebody. Do you want to share a little bit about that?
Yeah. So I had my boyfriend in college committed suicide. And I was in such denial when it happened that I didn't go to the funeral and I didn't I didn't even believe that it was real, And it was like, I remember when it first happened, his whole family had reached out to me and they were like, oh, like what happened? What's going on? Because apparently he had gone to go visit all his family before he did it and talked all about me and how I was the girl he was going to marry and all this stuff. And he just kind of stopped talking to me for months and I had no idea what happened. I'd gone on a study abroad trip and I got back and he was supposed to pick me up at the airport and he never showed up. And anyway, so his mom, I felt like she held a little bit of resentment there for a minute towards me. And maybe that was just my perception of it. But from our communications, there was a lot of hurt there for her. And that was 4 or 5 years ago. And just recently, a few weeks ago, I messaged her and I was like, I know this isn't really the right time, but I'm feeling really called to come see you. Would it be okay if I came to visit? And she lives 2 hours away. I grew up in Arizona and that's where me and him met. So the fact that somehow I ended up in the city 2 hours away from his mother is really bizarre because I never made that connection. Yeah. And so I went down there and I walked up to the front door and it was a glass door and I knocked and she came to the door and she looked at me and she just covered her mouth and she was just giving me a finger. She was like, one moment, and she walked away and I probably stood there for 5 minutes or so, just in the front of the house. And she came back with her phone and she was just videotaping me through the door. And she was just just so sweet and so beautiful. And she finally opened it and she gave me a hug and she's like, I feel like a piece of my baby just came back to me. And she almost couldn't even hug me for so long. She didn't want to cry, and we spent the next 2 days just talking and all these stories came out and all these she was like, I've never told this to anyone, as far as even how the resentment she felt towards her ex-husband and his father and just things that she never felt comfortable sharing. And it was really to get to be in a place where I was able to reconnect with my feelings of grief that I had repressed for so long that I thought I'd work through. I believe that I can connect with him at any time and he's here with me and able to guide me through things, but I had never taken the time to feel the pain that brought to me, and so it was still hurting me and I wasn't able to move on.
So you're intellectualizing it.
Absolutely. Yeah. I didn't realize that. And so to have an opportunity where I held it takes the right person and the right timing to hold the right space for you to dig into those things. And she was able to hold that space and bring up all this grief for me. And I was able to hold that space and she was able to let go of all these things. So we ended up drinking a whole bottle of tequila and we were sitting in the backyard and I was like, you believe in God? And she was like, yeah. And so I'd seen a few Bible scriptures around her house. I didn't know anything about this woman, but she's my new mother, It's my new best friend. And we sat outside and we sat down cross-legged in front of each other. I was like, do you mind if we do a prayer meditation thing? And I was like, dear Heavenly Father, God, universe, source, divine, Father, Son, Mother Earth, please open us up now, open our hearts that we may receive love and open up our minds that we may be connected. And then I don't remember my exact words, but I went into this Nathan Antonio Sosa, please come be with us now that we may receive healing and guidance, that we may let go of the grief that we hold on for you. And then I just started speaking. Then there's just all these words just started coming to me and I don't know.
Channeling.
Yeah. And I have no idea what I was saying, but all I know is I was looking up at the stars, and I wasn't crying. I was so clear-headed. My voice was so strong, and with every single thing that I said, she just sobbed. She just in my arms. I ended up like practically in her lap with my arms around her, and she just sobbed into my chest. And I don't know, maybe 2 hours or something. Wow. And it got to the point where she was like almost like hyperventilating, you know, and she's like, I can't stop. And I like helped her like breathe through it. And then once she got calmed down, she was like, Nathan wants you to know that it's okay to move on, that it's okay to let somebody else in that space and let go and love and be free. And then I started sobbing, and then I sobbed in her arms for hours, and I had no idea that was even a thing. And when I started really thinking about it, like, there's so many parts of my heart, like, I let him in so deep and like loved him so freely, and like even like when it comes to like sex and love, like it was like I haven't ever let anybody in like that since that happened. Like there's been, as open as I think that I am, I was still closed off because I'd never felt the grief that came from losing a love like that. And it's people are placed in our lives that'll help us like heal things and like find our deeper selves and become more connected with our source and our divine. But when we lose them, we think that we have to cut that off, and we forget how to love on that level because we're holding on to pain. And you have to feel that pain, and you have to give it love, and they'll help you, but you have to be willing to connect with them and call them in, because there's a whole nother level of understanding there that we as humans in these forms with our judgments and our stories don't let in. We don't let ourselves feel, and we don't trust in our knowing.
Because we love people that have passed conditionally, and we receive their love conditionally. It's like once we let go of the conditions of the physical realm and their physical bodies of being here, we can truly tap into the infinite power and energy of who they are.
Absolutely.
Do you remember that one time we were preparing for something and a close friend of ours was going through something, and I know that he was trying to process some grief around in the same realm or same area. Yeah. And we called on his partner that had passed. Uh-huh. And I don't remember exactly what he was going through, but it was just you and me, and we like called on her, and we asked for her to surround him and help him feel really safe when it came to her or something. I can't remember. But then it was like almost immediately he like messaged you or something and said something along the lines like, I'm feeling more peace than I ever have in my life. Like, do you remember? Can you share?
Yeah,
like,
immediately. So one of my business partners is he holds me very close because I instill like a remembrance of his wife that passed away, and she like I'm like the spitting image of her, and it's like that was like, but so he has never fully dealt with that grief, and so he has this fear of like losing me. And it's like in business sometimes it turns into like self-sabotage, you know, because it's like this like fear of success or like I don't know, but and it's like it almost like makes our relationship complicated sometimes because it's like he has this love for me that's like it's a different kind of love, but it reminds him so much of something that he misses and is so scared to lose, or because he's lost before. And we were just about to do something really big, and it's like he shut down, went into this like sabotage mode, and I was so frustrated. I'm like, how do we move forward from this? Like this deadline, and it's like and I just felt like I tried everything to open up this communication, and we couldn't get there. And so I came to Reina, and it was after yoga, and we sat and we made a space, you know. I think it was after a cacao ceremony or something.
Yeah, we did.
We made some cacao, and we tapped into her, and it was like it was so powerful and
beautiful. Like I had never met, like I barely have heard any stories of her, but I could just feel her presence, and I was just like, holy crap, it's her. Yeah. She's totally here, and I'm covered in goosebumps just thinking about
and
it. And
I had never even thought to do that. Like I knew of that story, but to make that connection and like, and that's really, you were saying it's so important to have someone to guide you through those things, someone who like trusts in that power and can guide you. That's him. How funny. Anyway, so
that's how spirit works.
We're calling him.
How funny. Anyway, so immediately after that, he sent me this long text and was like ready to move forward onto the next thing, and everything like totally dissolved itself. All we had to do was ask for some divine intelligence. Yeah, exactly.
Set your sacred space. Only good messages from the highest power, from the highest good. So every time that you tap in, you're always setting that tone, that prayer, or whatever you want to say, to let spirit come through.
Yeah.
It's very important to do that. You know, set the stage, open that door. You know, ask for the highest good to come through and protect.
Yeah.
And only the highest information, you know, from the good. So
we get so caught up in our stories and our realities and this is our
just
separation.
Ask.
Yeah.
All you gotta do is ask.
We forget that there's more, you know, and we can ask for that guidance at any time. It's always there.
It's always there.
It's always there.
I like to do it in the shower first thing in the morning.
You try the shower. It works well.
Try the shower. Because when the water's covering you, or in the Gulf, you know, if you're just, you know, floating in the Gulf of Mexico or just sitting in the sand, that quartz sand out there, it's so healing. And you just download everything, and it'll just dissolve, and it's very grounding, you know. So, but yeah, it's a great conduit.
Thank you for sharing such intimate details with us. Like, that's such a beautiful experience, and to hold such a space for her. She's been holding on to that grief for 5 years.
Yeah.
And to know that you help her step into a new way of being. Like, she's probably experiencing life completely different.
Yeah.
That you didn't really, you know, you weren't processing that.
Absolutely.
You were just kind of burying it, you know.
In that moment when she was like in my arms, I was like, holy shit, this is so beautiful. And I just was overwhelmed with gratitude that I could be in that space for her and for me. Like, what a beautiful experience. And it made me it instilled this desire in me to teach people and like help them accept their gifts and like let them tap into that, like teach them how to hold that safe space for each other. Like, I can't, obviously as one individual, we can't hold space for everyone around us, and maybe it's not our job. We're all intertwined in each other's lives in whatever way we're supposed to be, but you can help people see and hear the truth that that's possible, and that we can all be that for each other, and we should be.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's kind of like everybody's afraid because they don't have, but this person's doing it, okay, I'm gonna do it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, if there's someone there sharing and giving, the door is open, and people will receive, you know. I had a thing happen this weekend on the beach. I was just sitting on the shore watching this little girl in the waves, you know, and I was just watching her, some cute little 3-year-old, and I was sitting by myself, and the mom came because she was getting kind of far, and I was like kind of looking, okay, where's the mom? I'll make sure I go out and get her, you know.
Yeah.
And finally the mom comes, and she starts talking, and she just downloaded. I mean, I didn't even know this woman, and she just told me everything that she is suffering through. I mean, it was like we talked throughout hours, and she just told me all her suffering, what's happening in her life, and how, you know, she's an alcoholic and all this stuff, and now she just has no connection with her husband. She has no connection with self, you know, and I just gave her some pointers and things that she could do, and I gave her my card, and it was pretty deep. It was pretty, and the person I was with, he was kind of like, why do you do that? Why? He didn't understand why I let this person download. And I said, because it's my purpose. I felt like it's okay, and I'm not going to hold on to her energy.
Mm-hmm.
I know how to separate that.
Yeah, and her subconsciously knew, her subconscious knew that you would be able to hold that space for her, and there was probably nobody else. And if we repress that stuff and don't let it out,
she's like, I just felt I needed to tell this to you.
Wow, you know.
So I'm like, good.
Yeah.
You should start from now. You're listening. You just listen to that voice. You should start listening more. You know, start to listen.
Sure.
When you need to go for a walk, go for a walk. Let those babies be home with the dad and take time for yourself. That's what was happening. She was so drowning into being the mom, being the nurturer, like back what you're saying, Rena. You know, there's no self anymore for her.
No self-love.
No self-love.
Yeah.
Or even just take a walk on the beach, you know. So
we get so caught up in our busy lives, we don't take the time to hold space for anybody, you know. And that doesn't mean sit around and gossip all day and don't be ambitious and get stuff done. It's important to set those boundaries, but it's okay to slow down and take time for somebody.
Yeah.
Even if it's a complete stranger.
Yes. I love those better than anything. I love just, and now it's hard, like with this coronavirus, like, I find myself smiling at people. I don't wear a mask, and I find myself smiling at people with masks on. And I'm kind of like a rebel. I'll go the wrong way down the aisle. Like, I don't care. Just
6 feet apart, please.
I had someone say that to me.
The Publix people, I was talking to a friend of mine on the aisle, and he's like, oh, they're yelling at us. I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, listen to what they're saying, because they see us sitting or standing closer than 6 feet, and like literally over the like,
intercom?
please make sure that you are standing 6 feet between you and other people in the grocery store. It's like, oh my god.
Oh my gosh.
We just stood there, like, just keep talking. And then we ran into another lady that was asking about the mask that Sharky made.
Yeah.
And I actually need to send, is he making those for people?
No, I don't
Okay.
think so. They
Because
made
she was
some.
like, I want to order some.
So I was
Oh, well,
running.
he probably would.
I was running on the beach this Saturday with a girlfriend of mine, and we ran like 6 miles, right? So, and we were running back, and there's like all the people fishing on the shore with all their poles and the lines. So we go under the line, and this man and woman were there. You know, we kind of just went under their fishing pole line. It was pretty high, and she yells at us, 6 feet apart. Like social distancing, that's what she said, really loud, and I just ignored it. You know what I mean? It was almost like she was trying to, throw some negative
Yeah,
things
it's
out. It was kind
interesting,
of odd.
right?
I just ignored her.
Sense of power was like to control you.
Yeah, because people are so, like, they want to enforce this, but all the other things nobody will stand up for.
It's like you're on the beach, lady. She didn't have a mask on. Like, what do you? The beach is like so packed.
The
Anyways,
beach
that's
is
another
packed.
thing. I'm like,
Hey, and apparently it can't survive in the sunlight,
I know,
right?
right?
And
With hot
the
tea.
UV rays or whatever.
Nothing.
Everybody go to the beach.
No darkness.
Sorry.
Gargle the salt
No,
water.
right? Yeah.
It-
Corona can't live in the sun. Darkness can't live in the light.
Yeah.
No.
It,
Uh-huh.
Weird.
I was saying that last night. I was like, how ironic that one of the things that can like cure us and like keep us safe from it is taking us out of our lot or out of our house into the sunlight to where we like connect with nature. I was like, how ironic and how beautiful. Thank you, God.
Yeah.
It's funny how everything is still closed. Well, the
Yeah.
restaurant's open today, correct?
Yeah.
Right. So, but like someone posted today, it was funny. It was like, you can't. This coronavirus is super smart. You can get it at the grocery. You can't get it at grocery stores, but you can get it at salons.
Oh my gosh.
Like, you know, it's like in yoga studios. Like, okay, yeah.
What really got me was I was like, okay, I'm wearing a mask. Sometimes I wear gloves, but then I'm getting all these groceries that other people have touched that like, and I'm bringing them into my car. I clean my hands, but the groceries haven't been cleaned.
Yeah,
Like,
the
it was just like,
bags,
how can I truly protect myself except for protecting me in spirit and like
Yeah.
staying in alignment and high vibration and like
Eating
knowing
right,
I am
eating good.
protected and my immune
Yeah.
system is strong. Like,
Yeah.
I was just like, damn,
Yeah.
all these, like, I can't even imagine the stress of people. Like, I can't even imagine, like, the stress of people that don't, like, some people don't live in such high faith as we do, right? They don't know their own power yet. And I was there before. So it's like, I can feel how stressed out they could get, not trusting in something outside of them, like this divine source that's going to protect them. And like, just having to go through all these actions to protect themselves. And it's endless. It's like this endless cycle of like,
Fear.
yeah.
It's fear.
Like, oh God.
Fear. And yeah. And then you start to manifest. Oh, I'm gonna get sick. I'm gonna get sick. And then you
Don't
can
call those
manifest
things
that.
to you. Whatever you think puts energy towards it and will bring more of it into your life.
Like attracts.
Like, yeah.
So whatever you put out, we receive. But
All right. Well, I think it's time to wrap this up.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for listening. And we are authentically spoken.
There was something I really wanted to say
what do you want to say?
before we close off. It was a Course in Miracles quote that was coming up in my mind that
please.
anything real cannot be threatened. Anything unreal does not exist. Herein lies the peace of God.
Beautiful.
Down in there.
I love that.
I love that
Thank you.
too. You're welcome.
That was spirit going through.
Amen.
Amen.
All right, everyone.
Tally ho!
Namaste.
We love you.
Later.